This math-obsessed kid was almost out of his mind. He ate everything he could find in the kitchen while doing calculations at top speed with a pen in his hand. He left behind pages of formulas that no normal person could understand. After spending all of his small paycheck, he asked for a few days off to go back to his hometown. Red hair reminded him that the most important thing right now was to strengthen his basics. After all, he would be in charge of desserts for 50 people at the award ceremony. But Long Hair, who was also a pastry chef, understood him. Instead of stopping him, he chose to go back to the hometown with Kid Gaku. However, for several days, Kid Gaku just wandered around. This made Little Fish, who came along, feel confused. At first, he thought Kid was looking for inspiration in famous dessert shops. But instead, Kid spent all his time walking through the forest. Now he was even hanging around in a botanical garden. Long Hair thought this was exactly how it should be. A pastry chef should find inspiration in nature. Little Fish was actually worried about Kid Gaku. He used to be very afraid of facing Hirose. But after that day, something changed. It felt like he no longer cared about anything except his goal. Kid Gaku's father was quite happy. Kid was good in every way, except that he stayed at home too much. Seeing him get close to nature was a good thing. When he noticed Little Fish, Kitada's father immediately thought of Kagura, whom Kid often mentioned. But after looking more carefully, he realized they were not the same person. He sighed that after his son became a chef, he seemed to be more popular with women. Still, since Kid came back, he hardly talked to him seriously. This made him feel a little lonely as a father. Hearing this, Long Hair suddenly sensed something was wrong, but he couldn't explain exactly what it was. At that moment, Kid Gaku suddenly shouted that he had found it. With blank eyes, he tasted the flower petals in his hand. He said this was the flavor he had been looking for. With this, he could create something never seen before, a dish that only he could make. A few days later, at the award ceremony, everyone focused on Hirose, who won the math prize. Hirose gave his acceptance speech with a gentle smile, but in his eyes, all the guests were just lines of data. Only a few people caught his attention. Among them were Kid Gaku and Kagura, whom he had already recognized as kindred spirits. However, Kagura felt nothing but heavy pressure under this attention. She could only silently pray that Kid Gaku would not be crushed by him. Meanwhile, Kid Gaku stood quietly in the kitchen. He looked completely out of place next to his busy co-workers. When Blue Nana was overwhelmed and needed help, Kid said flatly that he could help. But Blue Nana thought that since Kid had to start learning pastry from zero, the pressure on him must be even greater. Kitada's voice showed no emotion. He said the preparations were already done, and it was better to find something to do to pass the time. Soon, Blue Nana finished her foie gras. As the appetizer, it successfully stirred up the guests' appetite. But her attention was not on the dish at all. Kid Gaku's recent state was simply too strange. Pink Hair, on the other hand, was excited. He was happy about the changes in Kid Gaku. Blue Nana immediately felt unhappy. After all, Kitada's change was caused by Hai and Pink Hair working together. Watching this, Long Hair felt a trace of unease, because Kid Gaku's current state felt strangely similar to Hai. The rest of the kitchen staff did not stop because of them. Dish after dish was served with care. When the main meat course was served, the atmosphere reached its peak. Now everyone was waiting for the dessert to bring a perfect ending. Kagura could hardly taste anything the whole time. Even though Hirose praised every dish, it did not mean he would use the same standard for Kid Gaku. Finally, Kid Gaku stepped forward with his dish. Hirose greeted him warmly at first sight, but Kid Gaku looked gloomy. He only recited the standard opening lines politely. Watching this through the monitor, Long Hair muttered that, even when facing a powerful rival, Kitada's attitude was exactly the same as Hai's. At this moment, he finally understood where that strange feeling came from. Since the day Kid Gaku found his inspiration, he had not truly looked at anyone again, including his rivals and Hai himself. It turned out that Hai was trying to turn Kid Gaku into another version of himself. This once innocent, almost naive boy who loved math has now become a creator in the world of cooking. To him, customers are no longer gods. They are pieces on a board, handled just like ingredients. When a guest will taste a certain flavor, what kind of feeling will appear in their mind? All of that is already decided in his calculations. Not long ago, Hirose warmly greeted Kid Gaku, but Kid Gaku completely ignored him. It was not until Hirose suddenly looked strange and distorted that Kid finally noticed him. Even then, he only scanned Hirose from head to toe, breaking him down with numbers and data. After that, he politely served a dessert and invited him to try it. The guests admired the dessert's look. Its shape matched their sense of mathematical beauty. But Kitada's explanation was very ordinary. He spoke as if it were just a normal French milk jelly. The ingredients were common. You could eat it in any way you liked. The guests were not disappointed. After all, it was only a bonus dessert. As long as it looked good, that was enough. But the colleagues knew it would not be that simple. Once it touched the tongue, the ultimate flavor was sure to bloom. Everyone had delivered perfect dishes all night. If Kid failed to elevate the finale, his reputation would be ruined. Hirose took the first bite. Seeing this, the other guests followed. But the expected gasps did not come. To the guests, the taste did not go beyond what they expected. Hirose, however, quickly noticed a change. In an instant, he fell into an endless space of mathematics. The dessert began with the crisp bite of a cat tongue cookie. Then came the sweet richness of French milk jelly. Together, they formed the first layer of flavor. When the crisp texture faded, the milk sweetness took over the tongue, creating a second flavor. But the changes did not stop there. Next came the aroma of rose and lavender, hidden inside the jelly. As people lingered on the aftertaste, a fresh mix of lemon sweet and sour notes rose up. Then the flavor shifted again, turning into elegant lychee and white tea. Finally, the rich sweetness of banana appeared, combining once more with the crisp cookie, starting the cycle again. At this point, the guests could not help but exclaim in amazement. The mix of cookie, milk jelly, fruit, and floral notes created layers of flavor beyond imagination. Each ingredient appeared at the perfect moment, switching again and again, like waves crashing over the taste buds. The timing of each flavor's arrival and exit was incredibly precise, beautiful like a well-designed math formula. An official eagerly asked Kid Gaku to explain how the dessert was made. Only then did everyone remember that Kid Gaku had once competed in math Olympiads. No one expected that he would become a chef. Kid confidently explained that the dessert was created using geometry and numbers. That was why it was the perfect finishing touch for a mathematics award ceremony. It turned out that Kid Gaku's inspiration came from a strawberry tart he had 3 weeks earlier. Hai simply crushed the tart shell and sprinkled it over the strawberries and cream. But this small change rebuilt the order in which sour and sweet flavors hit the tongue. This made Kid Gaku realize that the time gap between flavors could be measured. As long as mouth temperature and the texture and taste of ingredients were treated as variables, it should be possible to find the perfect combination. This dessert was built from 4 elements. First came a lavender and almond panna cotta. Then there was a lychee and white tea jelly. After that was rose and lemon. And finally, banana paired with avocado. All of these combinations were chosen by Kid Gaku through strict calculations. If time is placed on the x-axis and sweetness on the y-axis, then the moment each ingredient's sweetness appears and fades, under mouth temperature can be precisely controlled. The same is true for aroma, which can also be shown as changes on a function curve. To find an ingredient with a lasting fragrance, Kid Gaku went to the botanical garden near his hometown and discovered this yellow rose. After that, he repeatedly calculated how temperature and other factors affected aroma, while constantly filtering ingredients that met his conditions. In the end, he used a function model to select the best combination, which was exactly those 4 elements he had mentioned. After understanding the functions Kid Gaku described, the guests then asked where geometry was used. His answer was plating. Plating is not just about looks, it can also guide the order in which diners eat. The geometric layout he chose was meant to make guests taste the cookie shell first, then the panna cotta inside, and then release the remaining flavor combinations in a controlled sequence. In this way, he kept the entire taste experience firmly in his hands. Hirose then asked why this method was used for desserts, and why ingredient data and plating calculations could not be applied to other types of cooking. This was exactly the question Kid Gaku was waiting for. Desserts, he explained, demand the strictest precision, and are also the most controllable. If you fully use their rules, you can reliably achieve results based on calculation. Other types of cooking have too many variables, and the cost of trial and error is far too high. Hirose nodded repeatedly, because what Kid Gaku said followed the same logic as mathematics itself, using strict rules to search for endless possibilities. At that moment, Kid Gaku overlapped with his childhood self, still the joyful boy exploring the path of mathematics. The guests stood up one after another and applauded sincerely, because mathematics not only needs theorists to build foundations, but also practitioners like Kid Gaku to prove its real value. His final dessert was a huge success, and his name was firmly remembered by the mathematicians present. Meanwhile, Kagura had already started to see Hirose as a final boss. To him now, Kid Gaku was a white knight sent to save him. As a result, his face slowly turned red. On the other hand, Nagamo and Aina sensed the danger beneath the surface. This time, Kid Gaku had reached an unbelievable height, without relying on anyone. But danger always comes with opportunity. His current mental state was unstable, meaning that one wrong step could lead to total collapse. Was it really worth pushing him onto such a risky path? Hai said it was absolutely worth it. Hirose gave up the idea of making Kid Gaku his assistant, because what happened today had inspired him deeply. Perhaps letting Kid Gaku stay in the culinary world would help him open the door to mathematical truth. Kid Gaku also made a decision in his heart. He would walk the path of a pastry chef, because turning ingredients into functions and creating endless flavors from them gave him the sense of achievement of being a creator.